1490 WGCH, WGCH.com, anywhere. WGCH NewsCenter time is 8:22. Rebecca Shamabugh, one of the country's leading experts on gender equity and inclusion. She's president of SHAMBAUGH Leadership, a global leadership development organization whose mission is to develop high-performing, innovative, and inclusive leaders. Becky hosts a top business podcast available at Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. The show is called Women Rise. Becky, once again, joins me here on WGCH this morning. Good morning, Becky. Welcome back. How are you doing?
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. It's great to be here. Good morning.
All right. Latest edition of Women Rise. Your guest, Fairfield County's own Nancy May of Ridgefield, founder, president of the Board Bench Companies. What will people listening to this episode learn about getting women boardroom ready?
We had a great conversation on boards, and Nancy is just a great expert. I think it's just in general. I think in today's world, board roles are very responsible, and they're not easy. So I think the intentionality of knowing that you really want to be on a board, and it's to roll your sleeves up, I think, and just to really be willing to do the work. And I think one of the things that spoke volumes to me when I spoke with Nancy is the balance of boards, the diversity that those unique perspectives bring. But it's not just having a percent of women on boards. I think it's the wider range of voices and perspectives that really drive that greater problem solving and decision making. But I think one of the important parts that I think speaks for women, but also men as well, is what we typically do is just send them our resume. Send them our resume of our corporate or institutional experience over 10, 15 plus years. But what board of directors, when they're hiring, are really looking for the real deal. Not so much the interest in all of the corporate experience, although P&Ls and senior leadership is important. But they want to see from you what you're made of as a human being, as a person, is what you really are, have that sharp subject matter expertise in. Not just that you've had 20 years or 15 years in technology or pharmaceuticals. They really want to know what that real deal is and what you're made of. So your resume really needs to be shifted and fit towards you as an authentic leader and what's best for that board versus what may be best for the organization that you might be working for. So I thought that was interesting.
All right. Business Journal had a headline last week suggesting gender balance equity in the boardroom is improving, but still has a long way to go. Agree or disagree?
Well, I think we're not there yet. We've made some progress, but not at the rate that we really should, given the 2002-3, the technology and innovation sort of enterprises that we are working in. So I think it's twofold. I think that organizations need to really roll up their sleeves and sharpen their pencil and shift the narrative around why women. It's not just to fill a quota, right? It's really about seeking out and really looking hard for that unique perspective and background that person brings and deep knowledge. I think women also need to focus on getting the experience. I think when I started off, I always worked on several advisory boards, and that gave me the governance opportunity. That gave me some leadership opportunity. I understood how things worked on a board in terms of that collective, if you will, back and forth engagement and the decisions that they made. And then I think that next step is into a corporate board, if indeed that's your desire, right? But I think you have to be very passionate. You have to really create the right time and space to onboard yourself and to find the right mentors and sponsors who have been there that can show you the ropes and really give you the right path forward to be an excellent board member.
Besides passion, what other attributes or qualities do those need to be successful on a board?
Well, as I mentioned to you, finance, anybody, whatever your background is, whether you're human resources, whether you're finance, technology, administration, engineering, whatever your background is, you have to have a strong run at it of P&L. And not just to say you've done a P&L, but you have to manage a P&L, the ups, the downs, the reconfigurations of a P&L, and how that impacts the business, the enterprises. I think it's also good to work your place into a board leadership role when you have already been a senior leader in other roles in institutions and organizations. I think you also have to acknowledge, this is very important right now, is the whole notion around culture and leadership. And we've seen a lot, Tony, of a lot of churn, a lot of mental health issues, a lot of, for women, the big resignation, although I will say I wrote a blog not too long ago that women are coming back now. I wouldn't say in waves, but they're breaking that sort of downward shift and putting the pedal on and coming back into the workforce. But I think what's important here is that the boards need to understand culture and how you create a culture and how is a culture eroded, because that's why people come, they stay in an organization. It's not only a culture of kindness and care, but it's also a culture of accountability, where people are held accountable for results, but they know where they fit into the organization. But there's a sense of belonging, that people are not just sit on the side of the head, right, if they're heading in the wrong direction and they made a mistake or they didn't hit their numbers, but really bringing them up and giving them that lift to better learn next time and to coach and mentor them, sponsor them. But I also think that gets down to what? Management and leadership, right? That doesn't touch the board's act of responsibility. And I have to say, and Nancy and I were in this conversation, but I think we've lost our rudder in terms of the importance of leadership, in all spheres of this responsibility. I don't think people, this is more of a blanket sort of, if you will, perspective, but I think we've kind of lost the understanding of what it takes to be a leader and the responsibility and the importance of that and the impact that we have. And I think great leaders now need to really have a clear understanding, or foundationally get a clear understanding of direction of the company, of the team, and take that seriously and know where they're going, as opposed to just showing up every day and just knocking things off that list of things to do, and knowing how to adjust that rudder, but bringing people along. And that's not always easy. As I mentioned to you, it's not always about just hitting people on the side of the head and say, turn left, turn right. It's really about inspiring those people and speaking honestly to them with transparency. And you know what, so we're heading in the wrong direction. Well, you know what, we need a course correction. Mm-hmm. We'll make it happen. Here are the things that we need to do, and here's how I can help you to come along. Right? Those are just some of the things that I think we just need to take seriously. And I think when we have people who aren't performing, who aren't aligned with the culture, those people that we are proud to have in the organization, we need to stand up to them, right, and have those tough conversations, and not having a fear of retribution. And that's a big statement, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done there. But I think that's leadership's role.
All right, Becky Shamabugh has been my guest. Her latest podcast is with Nancy May from Ridgefield, the Women Rise podcast, available now when you download your podcast. And also, Becky, do a series of solo vignettes based on your book, Not a Glass Ceiling, It's a Sticky Floor. What are those all about?
That's right. That's right. Well, I founded Women in Leadership and Learning, which we're launching our 23rd year this week. It's really a program that immerses women in a consecutive day program with executive coaching, a 360, that really looks at leadership in terms of strategy, in terms of execution, in terms of building teams, culture, negotiating, and really knowing thyself, that authenticity of a leader, and letting that tap into your own personal influence. So that program has been running, and from there we do a lot of thought leadership. I write for Harvard Business Review, and I write a blog every month on a lot of the learnings from the WILL program and tools, and the coaching has been an instrument for women to really create that shift, to get that lift in terms of their leadership, which is just wonderful to see. So we try to push that knowledge out in many different ways. So if you're interested in blogs, I just wrote one on the work-life integration. We're finding that perfect equilibrium for our leadership and our personal lives, which is not easy. I learned a lot by writing that on myself, so just reminded me of some great practices. So just go to our website at SHAMBAUGHLeadership.com, and you can pull out all the blogs.
All right, Becky Shamabugh has been my guest. Becky, thanks for your time this morning. Be well.